A rotating savings and credit association, or ROSCA, operates as a peer-to-peer financial network used to generate localized liquidity. Peripheral subscribers push monthly capital inward to a central foreman, who distributes the aggregate pool to a single subscriber node. The system's vulnerability is its reliance on the foreman's fiduciary trustworthiness. If they fail, the entire capitalization chain collapses. This vulnerability is compounded by the subscribers themselves. When an early-stage prized subscriber receives their capital payout and subsequently defaults on their remaining monthly contributions, it breaks the future funding cycle for everyone else. An informal trust model cannot secure long-term capital against these overlapping risks. Scaling this system requires a statutory framework to institutionalize the credit pool and mathematically prevent systemic failure. The Tamil Nadu Chit Funds Rules of 1984, operating in conjunction with the 1982 Central Act, provide that exact codified containment shield. The primary objective of these rules is to shift counterparty risk away from the individual subscribers and legally bind it to the foreman through strict collateralization constraints. This flowchart illustrates the four sequential phases of the regulatory lifecycle: prior sanction and security, the contractual agreement, financial transparency, and winding up. These rules enforce a continuous, unbroken chain of statutory forms that mathematically ensure solvency from the first deposit to the final payout. Phase 1 begins before a single rupee is collected. Under Form I, the foreman must obtain state sanction to even commence operations. This chart shows the strict collateralization mandate of Rule 18. If the foreman posts movable trustee security, the state requires an asset deposit equal to 1.5 times the total value of the chit amount. If the foreman uses immovable property, such as real estate, that requirement increases. The property's value must be at least 2 times the value of the chit amount. Enforcing a 1.5x to 2.0x multiplier on pre-operational collateral absorbs market fluctuations and potential liquidation costs. It guarantees the baseline capital is always fully recoverable. This over-collateralization is legally transferred in favor of the registrar, entirely isolating the assets from the foreman's personal insolvency. Phase 1 acts as a massive regulatory date, mathematically ensuring the fund is fully collateralized before a single subscriber takes on risk. With the fund collateralized, the life cycle moves to Phase 2, Form 8, the Chit Agreement. This document contractually binds all parties to the state's mathematical model. This diagram illustrates Article V of the agreement, detailing the mechanics of determining the prized subscriber via a discount auction. From the total chit amount, the engine subtracts the foreman's commission, leaving the available prize pool. Subscribers bid for the payout by offering to accept a higher discount. To prevent desperate members from predatory discounting, the law enforces a strict statutory ceiling of 40%. To verify the execution of that equation, the life cycle requires continuous compliance through the statutory accounting stack. The foreman must maintain Form 13, the Register of Subscribers, tracking precise member status, alongside Form 14, the Master Ledger detailing every rupee deposited or withdrawn. This layout shows the 3 required ledgers, including the critical master chronometer of the fund's liquidity, Form 15, the daybook. Rule 26 dictates that accounting cannot be batched. A single subscription payment must be populated concurrently across the register, the ledger, and the daybook, exactly as the event occurs. At the end of the operating cycle, these synchronized records undergo independent verification by a statutory chit auditor, resulting in the submission of the Form 21 balance sheet. By requiring entries to be populated as they occur, Rule 26 creates a chronological lock. Verified by the Form X21 filing, this system establishes a cross-referenced audit trail designed to expose retrospective book manipulation. When operational mechanics fail or a fiduciary breach occurs, the framework executes the Chapter 6 protocols. The statutory arbitration process begins with a Form 17 filing, referencing the dispute to the registrar under Section 64. This chart shows the aggressive intercession powers granted under Rule 52. The registrar immediately intercepts the collateral established back in Phase 1. The registrar executes the actual seizure of movable property, or proclaims a prohibitive injunction against immovable property. These locked assets are then transferred to a state-appointed receiver. The receiver executes their statutory mandate to liquidate the seized assets and distribute the capital downward to satisfy subscriber claims. Phase 4 perfectly closes the regulatory loop. The system utilizes the exact over-collateralization locked away in Phase 1 to enforce the contract established in Phase 2. The 1984 Tamil Nadu Chit Funds rules engineer a complete, self-reinforcing financial architecture. The vulnerable peer-to-peer network is secured. Form I, Rule 18, Form V8, and Rule 26 act as rigid structural struts, interlocking the nodes into a highly secure, unbending matrix. This regulatory rigidity successfully interfaces with traditional, community-level credit mechanisms without destroying their fundamental utility for local participants. It replaces the chaos of informal lending with the predictability of a heavily constrained financial trust. For compliance officers and legal professionals, this environment demonstrates how sequential, mandatory documentation creates a safety net against counterparty risk. The 1982 Central Act and 1984 Tamil Nadu rules represent a specific approach to localized financial security. By meticulously codifying the life cycle of the fund, the state transforms the inherent risks of a peer-to-peer network into a collateralized, audited, and recoverable financial instrument.